When people hear the word foam sign, they typically think cheap, but if you've done any shopping for HDU, you know that it's anything but cheap. Now this sign will be indoors because it's a shop sign, but I still wanted to make it with HDU because I love how it machines on my CNC. I'm using my standard Amana bits for this project that I got from Tools Today, and the HDU machines perfectly with very little cleanup. As long as your Z height is dialed in on your CNC, you should have no problem working with HDU. Before you go out and start looking for an HDU supplier near you, you should understand the cost of HDU. So a sheet of HDU can cost $200 or more depending on your supplier, compared to a sheet of MDF, which might run you anywhere from 50 to 60 bucks. So I'm using a 24-inch square section of my HDU board, so that calculates to around $25 worth of HDU material versus MDF, if I was to use the same amount of material, would be around $7. I cut the HDU down to size, gave it a coat of paint, and then applied a sheet of Oramask. Once I had the top covered with Oramask, I flipped the piece over and added some double-sided sticky tape to hold the HDU to the CNC work surface. If you want to be extra cautious, you could clamp the HDU in place, but since this material is super forgiving and easy to cut, the double-sided sticky tape gives it enough holding pressure to machine without worrying about the piece moving around during engraving. I marked the center of the HDU by using a straight edge and drawing a couple of lines. Then, after homing my CNC, I set my 0 position and was ready to start engraving. The CNC that I'm using is the M.1000 from Stepcraft. Description below. Once the V-carve was done, I switched to my Amana 46202-K bit, which is a solid carbide Spectre coated 1/4 inch down cut end mill bit. That's a mouthful. I'll save you the work and leave a description below. The Spectre coating is not needed for this type of material, but this bit leaves a really clean surface. The bit did tear back the Oramask a bit, so later I cut back the Oramask from this area and reapplied another layer before painting the sign. You should apply a thin coat of primer to your HDU before doing any painting, so that way it has the best chance of withstanding the elements. Then add a few thin coats of paint. In this case, I'm using a standard acrylic paint that I picked up from a craft supply store. You could add a coat or two of sealer on top of your sign to make sure that it holds up.